Maritimos are renowned for their, I guess, 4 key elements, and really that's about performance, it's about their practicality, and it's about their engineering excellence, and I guess into every Maritimo there's a bit of Australian heritage.
I think a lot of it is to do with Bill Barracotta and his success in the past, and the finish in them is superb. It is definitely something that makes Maritimo stand out. Yeah, it's the knowledge that goes into everything, the experience of everybody that's involved in doing things, and probably the biggest thing is, like with someone like Bill Barracotta, you just get it right, you know, and he will do whatever has to happen to get it right.
Boat builders are different from normal folk.
The grey matter that we've got in this company, you know, just the experience from the production managers and leading hands and everything, you know, you can't beat that experience. And in saying that though, there's young guys coming through, but they get to be with the passionate older craftsmen, and they're starting to rub off on them. It's yeah, there's definitely a passion in this company.
That's one of the biggest things, I suppose, especially in R&D, is having people that are boaties doing it. Like, it's not a job. It's not a job, it's a passion. It's something that you just love, and you eat, sleep, bloody do everything as boats.
It is a very good R&D program we've got here. We've got guys who understand the way Bill thinks and understand how we want things done. The guys who make the moulds are particularly good at their craft. We've perfected the materials that we use and the methods that we do it, so we can bang moulds out without making mistakes in a very short time, and then start the boats straight away after that. So it all runs along like clockwork.
In R&D you've got to have good thinkers, you know, and because you're building the first of a model, every time we do something it's the first one of whatever model we're doing. You want guys that can come up with a few ideas and think for themselves and go, hey, listen, Bill, what about this? This is a good idea.
It comes, you know, firstly back to the morale of the people you've got working for you. You've got to have good people around you. You've got to have people that really are better at their job than you are.
Well, they're fantastic. I've got a great team of guys. They're really good. I've always believed that, you know, you're better off to get 10 brains and pick them all than come up with a good idea than to say, well, this is how we're going to do it and this is the only way that it can be done because it's my idea.
The only guys who've got offices are the people in accounts. Our purposes are better served being on the floor, talking to the guys on the floor that are doing the work, because that's where we've come from ourselves, and they speak our language and vice versa.
Bill Barracotta comes up with an idea, or he wants something built. Generally him and Phil Fraser will come down and see me down there. It gives us a general run around of how it's going to be and what it's going to look like, and away we go and build it.
The concepts come from, that used to be cigarette packets while I smoked, but now it's a piece of plywood or something, and then we'll mock it. You know, we might mock something up a dozen times.
When he does the R&D, he does it like a chess player, and he looks 10 moves ahead, because as managers we are boat builders, and Bill is a boat builder. He's done it all before, and so he can tell what the problems are going to be before they arise, and make it easy for everybody. And of course, the easier a boat is to build, the better job the guys are going to do when they put it together, and so the better result is going to be for the end user. building a boat is not an easy thing to do. You're dealing with curves and you're dealing with, you know, there are no straight lines or anything like that. Everything's a little bit more difficult than would normally be. With a boat, it's got to go to sea and take all sorts of conditions that sometimes you would never have anticipated were going to arrive when you first set off on your trip. Plus, it's got to be able to run along at 30 knots and be comfortable and luxurious and give the owners a good time. So, you know, it's quite an achievement building a good boat.
What we do is we build a boat, but the boat is a plug, so it's the version of the boat. Then that goes away and gets moulded, and once I've got the moulds, then they build the article out of the moulds.
We mock everything up because then you can get into the boat, walk around and think, well, that's an inch too narrow over here. If you move that over, you could get over here a little bit better and you can get the ergonomics exactly right.
The cabinet shop, they come down and they'll do the interior. They'll mock up the interior, like the whole interior in the boat, they'll mock it all up. And they'll change it. They'll change it time after time after time until he gets it exactly how he wants it.
All that componentry is built here. It's lacquered here and finished, ready to go to the boat. The guys all have pretty much have their specific jobs that they do. They have all their cutting lists and stuff like that. From there they build it through to its final part, then it goes into the spray shop. It's lacquered there, then it gets its final QC check and when it's put together, assembly, and packed into boxes, and then off it goes out to the boats to be fitted out. We've done away with a lot of the round finishes on the timbers and gone to more square finish. It's a really clean, plain look. It really looks smart.
So it's very fashionable, you know, the looks, the styling, the decor, and it's important to get it all right.
It's just a little bit different from the white boxes that you do in making kitchens and stuff, you know. It's something you can sort of feel proud of at the end. That's gone out the door and you've been part of the team that's put it together. So.
What I'm trying to do with every bit of engineering in the boat here is, if the owner used it for 18 months and didn't come down here, it'll still work. So our hull is designed as you would do with a racing sailboat or powerboat. We put all the weight in the middle so that, you know, the engines are in the middle of the boat. Typically they're a lot further forward than any other powerboat. The fuel tank's the same. Fuel tank's right over the centre of buoyancy of the boat, so it has no difference in performance whether it's full or empty, and that helps the overall efficiency and performance, but it also makes the boat a much, much better sea boat. You've really got to chase the weight out of it, and there's the other issue with that. You've still got to get the make the boat nice and comfortable, nice and quiet, and reliable. So it's no different to a motor car that way. Yeah.
I said to him, look, do you mind if I bring some of the guys down from the workshop and give them a look around the manufacturing plant and that sort of thing, which we did, because our mechanics on the race team were really interested in that side of it, and brought him down. But they gave us a really good insight as well on how the boats are built. And because, I mean, let's face it, at the end of the day, it's a pretty expensive purchase, you know, for anyone, you know. I mean, so you want to know what you're getting is quality. And you know, after we took a look, you know, a good look around and see how especially in our industry, because you can tell good tradesmen from bad, because, you know, we go through it in our industry. You know, you can see people that quite aren't on it, and you can tell by walking around the factory, these guys know what they're doing, you know. So it makes you feel a bit more comfortable when you've got to write the check out as well, that, you know, you're getting something that's built pretty good.
We've got probably better fuel ranges than really any boat in the world for a production boat. All our steering we actually make ourselves in-house. It's exactly the same steering we use in the race boats. It actually came out of the race boats. It is superb power steering right through the whole range, where typically most of are really under probably 55 feet. All our autopilots are all electronically controlled. There's no pumps. They're all run through the power steering, which is another real plus, and it's the way a major ship would run. And to my knowledge, nobody else does that.
Typically with technology though, it's all becoming easier as well. You know, I know when I owned a smaller boat, I thought, God, if I ever got it up to anything bigger, that would really spook me, and imagine trying to dock a 50 or 60 foot boat. How could you do it? Like, it can sometimes get pretty scary, you know. It's all becoming a lot easier, and it's, you know, now it doesn't even worry me anymore, you know. And obviously have a trust in the boat as well, that it's going to, you know, it's going to do what you tell it to do as well. So now it's just like, for me, just parking the race car on the grid doesn't really bother me anymore.
What's unique now about Maritimo is they've got an engineering company. So we can do everything in-house. We basically can do nearly the whole boat.
We've got our own foundry and engineering works. We've got our own stainless steel fabrication business. We're even making our own propellers now.
And we do all the underwater gear. So we'll make the propeller shafts, we do the couplings, we do everything to do with the underwater gear, the rudders, the skegs, and even now we're doing the propellers. The propellers is very, very hard to get into, especially the 5-blade one, what we've got on our boats. But we've been really successful. Even the first one we poured, we'll put it on a boat and it ran well. And we've put it up against some UK props and it's run better. We're getting an extra knot out the boat, and it's also using less fuel. It's all high-tech tradesmen. You're working with CNC machine tools. We've got a 6-axis CNC machine there, which there's probably not many in Australia, these machines. And to program them, we've got the latest software in SolidWorks for modelling, and we've got Unigraphics, the latest Unigraphics package for doing toolpaths. We don't cut corners with anything. I mean, we'll buy the best stuff, we'll buy the best materials, and we've engineered everything through, you know, all the materials we use to be looked at and made sure they're the best for the job. Engineering side it's got to be right. If you've seen how we clock up a propeller shaft, sorry, you know, it's really high tech, and it's got to be right. We clock a shaft up to 0.1 of a millimetre on a 3.5 metre, nearly 4 metre shaft. And they've got to be running within 0.1 of a millimetre. In the foundry there's two processes for sand casting. One's a hard sand and one's a soft sand, what they call a green sand. The hard sand comprises of basically a beach sand, and what it does, it goes through a mixer, mixes with a resin and a hardener, and it gives the guys a chance to work the sand into the mould, and then it solidifies and it goes really hard. Heat the metal up. Depending on what metal you're using, like the CMA1, you're melting at 1200 degrees, so it gets really hot in here.
Well, yes, any time a new model comes out, I normally get to go on them and put them through the paces. Bill wants to know exactly what the boat can and can't do. And then, of course, with boat shows and stuff like that coming up, I get a fair bit of time on the water again. These are beautiful boats to drive. They're the easiest boats in the world to drive. They do everything right, run downhill good. The other thing that Bill insists on is safety at sea and performance and fuel figures at sea. And I find that any time we are running in the company of our competition, that normally we've got a bit more fuel left in the tanks. On the flybridge up there, we set all that up and mocked it all up first before we put it into production, and everyone that's hopped in it, any skipper that's hopped in or any dealer that's hopped in it said it's just perfect. Well, because I do the most miles at sea, Bill sort of puts me there. I position the seat, look at where the gauges and everything should be on the dash, so he takes a hands-on approach that way. With the bow thrusters and with the gearboxes and the smart command, it allows you to just by the motors in and out of gear and with a thrust here and a thrust there, keep the whole position. So that's very good. You can come in places like here, real tight spot, and just hold the position while people get on board and all that sort of stuff. It makes it, you know, very user friendly. The sea trial, they're dock-sided first, and by dockside I mean naturally we're tied up at the wharf, and the guys go through and check that everything is working, there's no leaks, and then of course we take them out then and give them a thorough sea trial. And we also have the engine company representative on board, and the engine companies, we always make sure that every boat, we don't just do a model and then run without them for the rest of that model. Every boat of every model gets an engine company representative on board. And then of course the boys put the hull through the paces. We take it offshore and make sure that they're seaworthy and that there's no vices and stuff like that. We want to make sure that when the customer gets it, he can't get himself in any trouble. The most important thing about our boats is that they're so simple. The engineering's that good that you don't need anything else in there. We don't have a busy engine room. When it's simple, you have less dramas, less faults, so and a better performance.
We're making race boats, a few race boats for them, and that's all been pretty interesting because there's no drawings or anything, so we've got to do everything from what Bill wants and what Pete wants, and you know, they'll tell what they want, and we've got to try and manufacture it.
The construction of the boats, a lot of the construction is filtered back into the pleasure boats. Steering, we actually make ourselves in-house. It's exactly the same steering we use in the race boats.
If the laminate can stand up to the rigours of offshore racing, and I'm telling you that's hard work, well then you can apply that same technology into the boat.
I've had a few boats before. I had a couple of sports cruisers, and typically we're boating. Someone warned me when you first get into boating, you know, you'll start off small, but you'll always want to get something bigger. And I said, no, I'll get this size and that'll do fine, you know, nice little 30-footer would be fantastic. And then, no, geez, that 35-footer would be good, then that 40-footer would be good, and that 50-footer would be even better, so they're right.
You get a lot of feedback at boat shows from generally just saying nothing and listening, you know, and a lot of the time the people that are looking at it aren't going to buy a boat, but some of them, they come up with some really, really good ideas. But you listen to their feedback, and then you sort of sit down and chuck it all on the table and say, well, I heard somebody say this and somebody said that, and this was really popular, and they loved that idea, and then from there it just develops into the next thing, really.
You're always looking at the mechanical side of it, you know. It's no matter how, you know, you look at the look goods and everything, you sort of always comes back to the mechanics, you know, how does it perform, why is it better than other brands, and then when you go through it and, you know, you look at things like the innovation with shaft angles in the boat, how the engines sit a lot flatter, which all makes sense, you know, because it's better for performance and it's better for economy. And that was one of the factors too as well, because once you start getting up in the size of the boats, the economy side of it, you start thinking, well, these things can tear up a lot of diesel, you know. So obviously if you save money in that respect, that's good, especially nowadays as well. I mean, you hear so many horror stories with boating, you know, of people always repairing the things and just always niggling little things where, you know, with the two boats that I've had, not an issue with them, not an issue.
Never hear anybody say a bad word about it, about the Maritimo stuff. It's always good, and everybody that you talk to is proud to work for Maritimo as well. I'm proud of what, as I say, it's a final product. When you say to someone, oh, this is what I build, you know, I'm part of building this boat, and it's great, it's a good experience.
Build a boat that he said he would want to use himself, and of course that appealed to so many people, and then he gets the feedback from the people, so I think he makes a boat that the public wants, so and it's the man. They're getting a good product.
And because we do listen to a lot of what the public want, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going out now is pretty much what people are asking for.
Had a look at everything and couldn't really find anything that ticked all the boxes until, you know, we sort of came down and had a look at a Maritimo and went through it all and thought, oh yeah, this is about it. You know, this sort of checked pretty well all the boxes we wanted, and that was it. That was the start of it.
Building a boat with somebody is totally different than building a house. You know, a house is more of a necessity, whereas a boat, everyone's worked their butt off to get into a situation, and yeah, you're creating their dream. They've worked hard, they've got a nice car and they've got a nice house, and now comes the big toys.